Okay, so first of all, you don't even know the challenges that I faced to do this video. Okay, so initially I actually recorded this on Friday night. It's late. But it was like one touch good. Um, for one reason or another, I wasn't able to upload that one. I was like, you know what, yeah, actually forget this. But in a way, I knew that it wasn't a forget it thing. Like, I was actually gonna do it again. I knew, like, but I just felt like time was ticking. I'm not gonna do it like next week or nothing. I have to do it still when it's like relatively fresh. It's no longer trending, I don't think. Well, it might be trending again today, but yeah. This is my, not so much a review, but it's just like my commentary of some points of Yvonne Nelson's book, I Am Not Yvonne Nelson. So as I said, I already had one ready to post today, everything sorted, but cool. And when I've seen now that Sark has done a response to it, which I may as well just add into the commentary today. Yeah, so here it is. I am not Yvonne Nelson. So I'm gonna, some people, like, as I was like putting like WhatsApp statuses, I feel like I was always gonna do like a little review. And then some people are like, they weren't trying to read it, so they want to do a chapter. They want to know like what happens in each chapter. I'm not going to lie, because of what I actually want to discuss. I'm only going to talk about like it in bits. I'm not going to do like a whole, I don't know, spark notes or synopsis kind of thing. I'm just going to say like little bits that I know. And my memory is very bad. I'm only good at, like, as I say, I'm good at talking, not talking sense. So sometimes I don't be remembering things, so I do have notes. Okay, so chapter 1 is about it's actually called A Teacher's Question. So basically, she's in school and she's young, and her teacher has like noticed that her and another boy have the same last name. So the teacher said to them, "Oh, are you two related?" And then everyone's like, "No," as far as she knows. And then she's like, "Oh," and then the teacher's like, "Go and ask your parents." What kind of inappropriate, like, Ghana? And it's Ghana back then as well, so I guess, you know. So it's there that she had an awareness that she has other siblings. Okay, so that was that. Chapter 2 was failed abortion. At first, when I saw it, I thought, "Oh my gosh, is this the abortion thing?" So early on in the book, but it wasn't. So failed abortion. Basically, her mum has let her know from a young age that she was trying to abort the pregnancy, which is a wild thing to say to a kid, especially in the circumstances that she would. It's when she was most annoyed with Yvonne that she would say, "I always wanted to abort this pregnancy." And like, everyone's just like, like, and it's such a wild thing to say, but I think it just speaks to the toxicity of the mum on one side, and also you can tell from early on that the mum was dealing with some things. Even if you were sexually assaulted, if the pregnancy came due to rape or whatever, why would you tell the child that? But I think, you know, it's clear a lot of adults, even now, still don't take responsibility for the things that they need to heal from. I feel like even early on in my education career, I feel like there were things that, to be fair, I wasn't aware that I needed to heal from them at the time. But as I became more conscious, I said I have to, because otherwise I'm going to be just letting it out on people, and it's not good. But anyway, not everyone's come to that realization. In that chapter, everyone also talks about the fact that her mum was like an entrepreneur, like, as in making bucks, and so therefore she afforded her the opportunity to go to really good schools and stuff. Everyone wasn't very academic, or she wasn't very interested. So I mean, still the access to those schools are really good. Yeah, so her mum had a pub and like basically like a corner shop, but she was about the business, which is great, to be fair. But Yvonne was very much on like creativity, singing. She always felt that she was going to be like an artist, even from a young age. So yeah, no, it was interesting. So chapter 3 is about Mr. Nelson. So at this point, she finds out that the child, that the teacher was like, oh, are you not related? Like, they're actually related. So her Mr. Nelson is has other kids, and he's one of the other kids. And you know, Yvonne's always had like the want to get to know her dad, like be around her dad. Even at a very young age, she was just like quite aware, I would say. So now she knows that Mr. Nelson is her dad, and she's asked her mum, like, Mum, can I go over there for one summer? Is this okay? And can I turn this? Because I really want to just lean. Yeah, so like, oh, can I go there for like one summer? And the mum's like, okay, cool, fine, we'll set it up. And the man's just not very nice to her. Like, there'll be times where all the siblings will be in the hall, and he's in a bedroom. He's called all of his kids to come and just left her to stay in the hall. And she's like, from that moment on, like, bro, I'm not coming back. Like, I'm not. If you're gonna treat me like this, so clearly treat me like so differently, it's not good. So she at a young age kind of decided that she was gonna do that. Also spoke to other points of like how he was just really, really like violent and aggressive. Eugene, the sibling who was in the class that the teacher said, oh, are you two related? Eugene said that, yeah, like in the past, there were times where the mum would, like, the mum and dad, mum and Mr. Nelson would be arguing, and it would get like almost physical. And there were times that when even like the mum, Yvonne and dad were driving, like, so dad was driving, he was driving like a maniac, to the point where mum said, let us out if you're not going to drive safely, thinking that maybe the man's going to try and like change his behaviour and drive safely. Homeboy said, get out. Random area, and I just had to call a taxi. Like, how do you do that to like the mother of your child and your child? It's crazy. Yeah, it's just a whole lot of like neglect, toxicity from both sides. You'd think that, oh, like in the light of what Mr. Nelson was doing to Yvonne, her mum would actually be more caring, more affectionate to make up for what Yvonne's missing. No. So chapter 4 is talking about more about her education, how her grades weren't the best, just all of that really. Like, as I said, she was very interested. She was interested in more creative things, but like, you know, she started to like fail exams and stuff because she was just there. Like, she was doing a course that she wasn't interested. I feel like it's like the same kind of trope that we kind of still see today. People, parents will be making you do like accounting and finance and all of these other things that they esteem to be big, but you know, they could tell that you're not interested. I do think, I'll just comment on this, I think ultimately the parent's responsibility is to key into the child's destiny. You pray to the ultimate creator, God, the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit, that God, that creator, and ask, what is the purpose for my child's life, and what path should I be facilitating their growth along? That's what you need to do. You can't be pushing your own agenda. It's weird, but yeah, I've spoken about godless parents before. I'm so sorry, but of all days, this is the day that the neighbour wants to come and do something. It's got nothing to do with him, and he's doing it. But anyway, I'll just let him do it. God bless him, to be fair. So now we're on part 2. So there's 3 parts. So those first 4 chapters are in part 1, and we are in part 2. So chapter 5, Mum has remarried, and she's just chosen another man who was just like unloving towards her kid. And I feel like if you're unloving towards someone's child, like, you don't actually genuinely love them either. So he's unloving to Yvonne, like whenever they go over to the house, like he just obviously prioritizes his kids above her, isn't very nice. Like, she'll have to go and like bath in like some weird setup. It was just like raining and all of that, and it'll be out in the back, and like her room, there'll be like water leaking. And it's just like there wasn't much of a priority. She was like, at this point, she's developing more like self-esteem, and so she was like, listen, I'm going back home after a while. So she goes back home. And you could just get this sense of, at this point, definitely men are not nice to her. Her father, Mr. Nelson, is not nice to her. This man is not nice to her, and it's just all of that. And she's always had a sense of like, well, she's always kind of asked mum, like, are you sure Mr. Nelson is my dad? I think just from like the way that he treated her, she just felt like this can't be right. Maybe she hadn't seen many male relationships like with women, with children or whatever, but still, she still felt like this isn't normal, this is not right. So she would regularly ask her mum, is this man my dad? So from between Mr. Nelson and the stepfather, she's just like, no, I'm going back home. As well, in that chapter, that's when she started to get into the creative scene. So that's when Miss Garner came about. She hadn't done very well in her exams, and she just felt like, no, I still need to I need to do well. I need to do well regardless. So if really and truly I'm not going to do well in with this, then okay, cool. Then I'm going to try my creative stuff and see what can be done. So someone actually, a friend of hers, I believe her name's Karen, was like, okay, girl, try this. Push her. You know how beautiful you are. You know how intelligent you are. You can give it a go. So, she's gone to do that. She's really putting a lot of effort in. Previously, she was like a tomboy. So for her to go from a tomboy to Miss Garner applicant or whatever, contestant, that's a big jump. And she was like, I'm going to win. She didn't. The area that she failed, like, she just feels like it was such an L because, like, it was just a question that she could have just gotten right, but she didn't. But yeah. But that really, it stuck with her. She was like, you know, I need to do better. But at the same time, even though she lost, she was in the limelight. She was seen. She was visible, which was always gonna be a plus for her. From there, she did get involved with some shows and some acting in shows, and then she landed Princess Tyra, a film that one time she was out, I think at a restaurant. Was it Afro-Kiko? I won't make me laugh because when I went to Ghana recently in January, that's like, as soon as I dropped my suitcase, we went to Afro-Kiko. Afro-Kiko. Come on, guys. You know. But yeah, or whatever. She was somewhere and she saw a producer and he was like, bro, like, I want to cast you in this. So she was like, okay, well, I'm still studying, because she's determined to just do well holistically now. Well, I wouldn't say holistically, but she wants to make her creative stuff advance as well as her academic stuff. So cool. She goes and starts with that, and it's like really short notice. So she's gotten dressed in the role, and it's just like her acting is not up there or whatever. Like it's just not resonating. And the guy that she's even acted with, is it one I forget his name, I'm not gonna lie to you, but one actor that she later on cast and is good friends with him now was like, you're whack, I'm leaving the set. Like just moving diva-ish, and it's just like, no. And she was like, you know what, after today I'm not even coming back. She said, and then but someone's encouraging her, saying, no, you must come back, you must get this finished and everything. So she does persevere. And that is why I would say I really really do like how the story goes. Like she has moments of highs and lows. Like you would think that from her childhood and the childhood that she had, that she, like, the first hit would be like a matter of, oh, like the first opportunity that she gets is just like everything just goes up from there. No, like there's still peaks and troughs. Miss Garner, she didn't win straight away, and it was such like a big blow to her that, you know, it weren't even no minor thing that she really really lost in her mind. And then the next thing is that, okay, you see a producer, and you feel like you can do some acting, and that doesn't go well either. It's just like bare peaks and troughs, and I love how relatable it is. Not just creatively, I would say. Why? Not just creatively, but I just think there are peaks and troughs in life, and I just feel like for people who are successful, it's easy to just assume that they get there successfully. And that's why I love these kind of stories, because these kind of like, yeah, real life stories, because they really when it's someone more local, when it's not someone like in Americans or all of that, yeah, and it's just like kind of like Ghana or UK, or maybe someone I even know, I just feel like, yeah, this is like real content, imagine. But yeah. So, after that, it's mad because I think she was beefing. That's it. That same guy that she was working with, that producer that found her from nowhere, gave it. You'd feel like they had like a good relationship or whatever. They had a quarrel. I think that's it. She, as I'm saying, she was wanted to take her education very seriously as well. Great balance. I think she just got to a point in her mind where she was like, listen, I need to work hard with what I want to do, but also I need to work hard with what I need to do. She, wish I had that discipline. I don't. But no, I receive it in the name of Jesus. Like, I need that discipline to work hard with the things that I want to do, which is playing the games, and the things that I need to do. We'll get there. So she had struck that balance, and she was still studying, and the guy was like, oh, can you come and do this? So she'd gone to do it, and then when she went, there was like 2 days back to back of nothing being done. She's like, listen, I'm in school. I'm not coming the next day. And he goes off. He's like, yeah, I made you this way. I made you that way. I made you. You're never gonna like produce anything again. You're never gonna be in any films. And he's speaking to people in high places, and they ban her. So for like a year, she's not doing any work. But eventually some people start to relent because they're like, really and truly, this isn't fair. Some people start to relent a little bit, and he himself comes back to her and is like, girl, I'm sorry, but the ban is in place. I can't do anything about it, but you know, just so you know, there's no bad blood, and I hope that we can work together in the future. And she's like, okay, cool. He didn't expect for her to just be so strong-willed, and she's always been pretty strong-willed. Even when she was younger, and her siblings would treat her horribly, her mum or whatever, like they'd be beating her and stuff, and she'd just be like, no, like I'm still gonna say what I need to say. Very strong-willed. I feel like all of those experiences definitely helped her later on, like in this situation, to the point where, yeah. But it's weird because he's asked her like, oh, like, can we get back cool? Can you work again? But he's making her like do films for free. Like, not paying her. But I think she also was feeling the brunt of the ban, so she just had to do what she needed to do. Anyway, it all worked out in the end. So that's that. And she's still making like a name for herself. In that time, she's making when you get a call. In that time, she's still doing her own bits as well. That is where she starts to go to Nigeria and expand herself a bit. Also, she's just thinking of like other ways to like make money as well. So she didn't let that hold her down. She didn't let that hold her down at all, which is good. So, and it gets to chapter 8, which is the abortion chapter. And I feel like the chapters are pretty short, but like this is really short. It's like 8 pages. Okay, cool, yeah. Some of them are 8 pages. But when I say like the actual Sarkodie part of this whole thing, it's so small. And I'm telling you, as I started reading from chapter 1, I couldn't put the book down. I'm telling you, I could not put the book down. I could put the book down because I'm lazy. However, figuratively, I couldn't put the book down. It was too elite. Like, it's fantastic. So I don't really see. So in the chapter, she says that, oh, she's 25. In January, she's talking about how the fact that she has been like sexually active, a little, like, not a little bit, but like, if I say that she hasn't like put in there that she slept with loads of people, everyone's gonna be like, oh, she's still very promiscuous. But I think she's spoken quite a bit about all of the people that she has, and at that stage it didn't seem like many, but she had some awareness. Cool. So she's 25. She's met this youth who's 22. She names him Michael Diamond, but like Sarkodie. Cool. He was dating someone at the time. Now, this is what I really want to talk about. He was dating someone at the time. She gets pregnant and she's like, bro, what? And he's like, it says in a book that he has said or his manager has said that, oh, we need to get rid of it because my career isn't stable, and it's not that it's not promising, or it's uncertain. That's the word she used. It's uncertain. So I can't have this now, basically. And she's like, it's very clear that she is more established than him at this point. So this commentary that, oh, and she's still doing well. Like, she's still got peas. Maybe not as much as him, but if you have enough for yourself, why do you want more? Like, I guess I feel like maybe I'm putting myself into it, because when I got my thing, I'm not thinking about anyone else's like set at all. It doesn't make logical sense. If I have enough for me, then cool. But I guess people's argument is that she would have wanted, she had a kid, more of his money and stuff. Anyway, it didn't seem that it was a romantic relationship or she wasn't in love. They were just doing whatever. Got pregnant the first time. She obliged anyway. She went to go and do it like a home kind of thing. It was very painful. Obviously, you know these ones where you go to someone's house and they give you like a tablet, or they try and like physically remove it. She did it the first time. She lost a lot of blood and she was still pregnant. Chaotic. So the secretary, she's like, no, like legit, I need to do this properly. Otherwise, you know, my life can actually be at stake. So, so she's gone now. I think him and the manager, or just him, picked her up and dropped her at the hospital. Left her to get it done. She got it done. I find it just a bit weird that you would, even if you're not in a relationship with her and you're in a relationship with someone, you know, out of courtesy, go and park the car on the corner and wait. Like, that's wild. Like, you were half in this. When the main thing is this. Let me put the abortion bit aside, because let me just put that aside. Looking at the relationship, so it seems that he was dating someone at the time, and they're saying that, you know, that this woman that he's married to now is likely to have been that person, because she's been around for a long time as well. Okay. If you are getting married to someone and you've done something with someone who is in your circle, you should tell your partner before you get married. So this wife should have known. If he's a decent man, he should have told her. So none of this should have been a surprise. Now, I don't know if it was a surprise or not, because at the time, he's obviously put out this video now, but at the time, maybe up until Friday, I feel like after Friday when I did this video, I kind of just like moved away from the story a little bit. But at Friday, up until that time, like, she still hadn't responded. And, you know, I feel like if I didn't know something, God forbid, and this is like one of the 10 things that I will say in the morning, like, I have this habit of like, I will just find 10 things to say God forbid to. God forbid that I have a partner who, not that they did this thing before they married me. Oh. Anyway, God forbid that I'm marrying someone who's not told me the full truth, with a girl that is possibly in my circle. The girl's going to be around my circle. What homeboy should have said was, listen, baby, we're going to get married. When we were young, I cheated on you. If I did cheat on you, I cheated on you. I had, the girl got pregnant. We aborted it. I dropped her at the hospital and I didn't stay there. We aborted it. And this girl is in our circle and her name is Yvonne Nelson. What's the big deal? And then let the lady choose if she wants to marry you or not. It's not right for you to cheat on someone and then not even give them the respect to tell them who it was with when it's such a public figure that's in your circle. Now, for someone who maybe isn't in your circle or doesn't run in the same like kind of industry or kind of circles as you, I feel like you definitely do need to use wisdom. I feel like before, I definitely believe, listen, you need to tell your partner everything. However, some people are very much human. Like, we're all human, but some people are very much human. I just feel like maybe they're not at the place to know certain things. So cool. But still, you still need to make a judgment call. I might think you're not in a certain place to hear it, but this is still something you must know, because maybe the person is going to be around us. So therefore, I have to tell you. Like, I just don't even understand it. So that's if he didn't. If he did, you know, what's the problem? We're going to talk about, she didn't mention everyone's name that she was dealing with. Well, to be fair, she mentioned quite a few significant people that she met with. Maybe this was a significant issue and everyone else wasn't significant. I mean, to be fair, what did Mariah Carey say? If your name didn't get in the book, it wasn't that important. And for me personally, I have been screaming this the latest so much lately. Like, I don't know you. I'm not even talking about like anything like that. I'm talking about in general, more platonically, to be honest. If we were friends like a little while ago and we don't talk much anymore, I don't know you. Like, there's no I will see you and it's brand new. Like, it just doesn't, like, it doesn't happen anymore. Maybe if it was like bad blood, I can't think of any that's particularly bad blood. But yeah, some like we couldn't kiki. Yeah, I would say. It's not a problem, but we just couldn't be in the same, like, I personally will not sit around you anymore. It just never happened. I don't remember what I was even saying. I'll be real. But yeah. She is saying that, she's put his name in. She probably put like 5 other people, including the father of her child. Significant situations. Everyone else wasn't. They're minor. Now, it's her business. If she wants to write about it, that's fine. She will deal with the consequences, as I'm sure she's doing. And I just hope, I'll talk about this a bit more later, I hope that she can gird her loins for what is coming out, especially now that he has dropped this music video. And people are already gunning for her anyway. They always want to stay with Sark and be like, oh, she wanted some of that success. Well, how dare you? Because who said that she wasn't successful? Boring. So she, after that bullshit, it doesn't even detail in the chapter that she was like particularly emotionally attached or anything. I feel like maybe the sexual encounter that she had with him was just that. She was probably numb from all of these experiences, Mr. Nelson, the way that our mum treats her, the stepfather, and she needed an itch to scratch, I think. And I think it doesn't make it right. And like, essentially, these sins are things that really do affect you. They affect the body. Like, all sins are sinful, but sexual morality definitely does have an effect on the body, for one. But also, I feel like they just add such emotional baggage and all of these things that unless you are strong enough to bear it, it can really break you. And I honestly feel like this woman is going through a process of just letting her trauma come to the fore. And I don't think she's able to, well, I don't know. But just from the writing and just from looking at her little snippets and interviews on the internet, I just think she's not ready for it now, talk less of then. However, I do feel like this, it was just a sexual encounter that she needed to just do a couple of times. Chapter 9, talking about her first car, first house and independence. As I said, she was already doing her thing. So yeah, like, she's just talking about like more wins, more like accomplishments. Very happy for her. Like, she's clearly, something that she's taken from her mum is the fact that her mum's an entrepreneur and very business minded, very like kind of good with money. So like, yeah, she works hard. She talks about Iyanya, the love of her life. Yeah. I just wondered like what capacity that she was even in to be able to identify that he was the love of life. Is this all in hindsight? I just want to actually move on to very quickly the healing and the process that I think she's on now. So I think she's experienced like a lot of traumatic things, and I think it skewed her understanding of things as well. She talks about her faith in it. She talks about the fact that she feels that God has always had a hand on her life, one, and when she comes to ask God for something, he will give it to her. I'm never going to judge anything because needless to say, it's not my place, but it's not of interest to me. However, just from reading this, perhaps I would say that it doesn't strike me as that she's let me know. I would have said, it might not strike me that she's particularly filled with faith. And the only reason why I'm commenting on that is because in this life, or when it comes to like matters of the heart, and when you're being like in love and all of these things, you can easily think something is something when it isn't. And unless you are really like, really tapped in with God, like you won't even know. And you will actually just be falling in love with anyone and anything. But she felt like Ionia was the love of her life, and that's good for her. So it talks more about like her political stance. She's obviously very like, she's very like a prominent figure. Like she's definitely got the commentary. The Dumsor protest that she was on, like how much like traction and traffic that got. How she even got like death threats and things like that for talking, and then how much more presence like she kind of like had, which is great for her. Also talking about like it being a man's world. I think she already knows this by this point, that men do hold like a lot of power in her media, the media industry that she was in, and also like politically. So I guess all of that, and the fact that, you know, as a young person, she didn't have a good relationship with Mr. Nelson, one of the first men in her life. It's just very much, I would say, very much heightened for her. And all of these experiences with men along the way over the years, I feel like it's just, I would say that's just been like the main theme throughout the whole thing. And that's why I kind of feel like, you know, did she intentionally choose the Sarkodie thing to be like a main part of her PR timeline? Because there's so many other things in here, and I just felt like she didn't have to do that, because it's got all of these people up in arms running their mouth saying, you know what I mean, that you're just trying to use his name to get ahead. Like, bro, there was so many other things going on here. There's so many other experiences with men, so many other experiences with love and business, and her political standing. That was just so much more important. So the Sark thing, she's just given that too much shine when it really, really didn't need it. The book is outstanding, like, for real. Talking about Nigeria, and I really didn't like how people were saying that, you know, a pimp took her over to Nigeria and that's why she's got all this business. I feel like Ghanaians can be so salty. Like, Ghanaians, you want to be confined in this small box and getting out the small peanuts. No, I'm not going to say that and put it on the internet for someone to drag me. You, Ghanaians, you have your way of life, and that's fine. She has bigger dreams, had bigger dreams, and if she's doing that in Nigeria, then fine. Not that she's the only person. A lot of actors go there because they know it's in Nigeria that they're gonna get their bread and butter. So I don't understand like why the commentary on social media is that like she's a hoe, she's a prostitute, all of these things just to get abroad and do these things. No, she clearly has a talent as a producer as well, not just an actor. And she meets, she meets this white man. Is it James or Jamie? And initially, she feels like this is the one. And I do feel happy for her. I feel like, well, I did feel happy for her when I was reading it, that, you know, sometimes you just kind of have to step outside completely and just allow yourself to experience love from somewhere else, if it is permitted by God. If not, don't do anything. But so she's done this, and he was divorced. And later on, as they're in a relationship, the woman is like, oh, the woman gets in touch with Yvonne and says, you know, he's done this and this, so they break up, but she gets pregnant anyway, and she has her child, which is great. I really, really need to move on. So it gets to a point where she's like, no, she's earnestly asking her mum, I need to know who my dad is, because if Mr. Nelson definitely my dad, I think Mr. Nelson's dying, and she's gone to go and visit him, and then she's like, no, like she doesn't see any resemblance between him and her. So she's gone back to ask mum, and mum has said, no, that's not your dad. did she say? It was Peter Ajiti. What's the last name? That politician. And I feel like it's a mess because he's such a bait politician. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, I don't know Bear, but I definitely know some faces. This man's face, when I checked Google, I was like, oh, like, he looks like my uncle. Bro, that's it. I've never seen him before. But yeah, that politician. So she's gone to try and find like family members of him so that she can kind of reach out. And she's emailed. No, she Facebooked one of the kids. He had died by this point. He had died 8 years prior, which is sad. Like, why didn't you tell her before? Sorry. She's reached out on Facebook to one of the siblings, one of his children. And the girl aired it for like 3 years because she thought it was a scammer, which you would kind of feel like. And she was like, why would Yvonne Nelson be Facebooking me? So Yvonne, like, she understood. Cool. So she's met up with them finally after some years, and they're very welcome and very loving, which is great. Like, it's always something that she's needed. But something's still telling her, let me do a DNA test. Prior to that, she was going to do a DNA test with Mr. Nelson, but she just, like, she asked mum, and then he kind of got removed from her mind. But when she's with this new family, she said, no, I still want to do a DNA test. She's like, it doesn't, like, we know it's you, like, it's fine. They're not, like, money hungry or anything. And to be fair, he's already died, and so the will, all of the assets and everything has been distributed. So she's making it clear, I don't want his money. And they're like, we don't need anything from you either, but if you are our sister, come in. So she said, now, she's taken 2 siblings to do the DNA test. And she's like, okay, cool. They've done it. They're not siblings. And I remember when I was reading this, I remember I was at work and I had like a few people around me. I was like, oh, hey, oh. Like, I couldn't even contain it. I said, so mum, what are you playing at? How can you say that this is the girl's family? She's gone to go to DNA test and it's not them. Like, imagine if she was just like a silly billy and just took her mum's word for it, even though you can, like, for real, like, the way that the mum has behaved, yeah, if she did, then she'd have to be a super silly billy. Thank God that she went to go do that DNA test. And, like, they're just so sad for her. And I guess the embarrassment, because she's told quite a few people, in the pursuit of getting things done, she has told quite a few people, in the pursuit of, like research and trying to locate people, she said that, I feel like these are my people, da-da-da-da. So the embarrassment, even on their side as well, she'd be the topic of conversation in their individual households for months. Yvonne Nelson said that we're siblings. We've come to do the test and we're not. This woman doesn't know who her dad is at her age. It's embarrassing. She goes back to the mum. She just has to go humbly, because I honestly feel like if I was her at that time, first of all, that relationship would probably have been locked off a while ago. Like, I just, because the things, this woman goes on so, in how it's depicted in the books, that she goes on so churchy, so godly, that Yvonne said, let me go there with like a Bible and make it look like it's devotion for my mum to be a bit more like open to it. And so she's going to go do all of that. So the mum's gassed. She's like, oh, yeah. And she's like, mum, like, please, you need to tell me. And now the mum's like, oh, this is what you came to do, your badge or this or this. She's like, listen, no, like, that man, that politician is not my dad, and you knew. What is it? Is it that, like, even at the point where if you were sexually assaulted, you need to at least tell me so that I can have some kind of understanding, some kind of closure. I feel like closure is a very, very much of a big theme in this as well, because I always say closure is not important. And that is why I say, this, like, whatever happened, however I knew you, it never happened. It doesn't exist. That's how I deal with things. I don't need closure because it never happened. I can't impose that on everyone, clearly, but maybe she had that. She said, no, like, I need to know who my dad is. I need to know, because the woman is holding a name that's not hers. And I feel like that's such an L, because she basically doesn't have a last name. And the only last name that she'll have is if she were to get married. And the experiences that she's had with men up until now, why would she want to get married? She needs, like, healing. And just seeing her in, like, an interviews, and I really wish that she wouldn't sit down with the people that she's done the interviews with. She's done an interview, to be fair, this guy's not that bad. The guy that does date night, in Ghana. He's actually more intuitive than I initially thought when I started watching that stuff on YouTube. But like other randomers, and I just feel like she just needs to sit down with ooh, what's this woman's name? The one that's got bare kids. Oh, I was talking about her the other day. The one that's American. Oh my days. What's this lady's name? That preacher, or she a prophetess, and her man is also a preacher as well. And she sat down with that South African lady. First of all, she could sit down with that South African lady. I think it's Kathy Keena or something, whatever. That lady. What is this lady's name? Linda Osei? Oh, you know who I'm talking about. Anyway, she should sit down with her and like have like it, because that woman is very I feel like she's compassionate. She'll be able to like facilitate a good conversation. The other person that she needs to sit down with is Lydia Forson. Miss Forson, the core, like for real. If Yvonne sat down with her, if they're cool, you should sit down with her and let Miss Lydia give her like a real conversation. Let her speak, and also give her the real. I don't know what Lydia's relationship is like with Sark and them, but I feel like Lydia is like she's a straight shooter. Nana McBrown. Oof. There's a few people that this lady should have said, and I don't know who is on her team, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's just her. And I just feel like maybe the experiences that she's had makes her feel like I need to work alone. Shouldn't be working alone on such an explosive book. Like her team, from what I've seen, like the little interviews that she's done, cool. I have seen that there's been a little bit of media training, because like when someone's like tried to like shift her focus a bit, that she's kept it on track on the book, which is good. But I don't know. Anyway, what do I know? So closure, because I'm come to bring this thing to a close. But well, overrated. But you need to get to a place where you actually see that closure is overrated. In the literal sense, or in the sense where you have to go speak to the person. I would say no, closure is important, but it's not always the closure in the form that we think. It's not necessary to always speak to the person. It's not necessary to always put it out in a book. It's not necessary to do all of these things. But, you know, I feel like this book has been necessary. I feel like it's like enthused a lot of people to talk about their stories. But it should not be the be all and end all. And I don't think that we should rely on any part of closure to help us. I feel like the only closure that we can really get and really be satisfied with, or really be made whole with, is in Christ Jesus, is in God the Father and the Holy Spirit. All other closure is temporal. That is the truth. And when you're pursuing that closure, it might mean that you are under a rock for several years, or it might mean that the conversation never surfaces, and you'll be lucky if it happens that way. But sometimes no, more often than not, elements of it do come out, because God is to get glory even from difficult times. And to be honest, this conversation, the things that have come out from this, and I'm sure there's more, the things that have come out from this has inspired a lot of people, I'm sure. I just hope that's inspiring people towards the truth. Yeah, healing, trauma, closure. From what I've read and the way that I've seen her afterwards, and she's always seemed like an edgy person to me. And this her story explains why she kind of holds her cards to her chest, and it's just a bit edgy and a bit like, which I totally understand. This explains why, and I just feel like she still has a lot of healing to do. And I feel like if she doesn't do the work that is necessary behind this book, she could be in a worse place than what she was before. If she thinks that she's just done the whole job by just doing this, by putting out this book, then it's no good. Of course, you're going to get money from it. And I do hope that she considers her writing as a job, and the fact that she's done this just to be a job. Because if you're too emotionally engaged with your emotional story, and a product of your own life, if you're too emotionally attached to something that's a product of that emotion, you're gonna struggle. That's why I know like a lot of creative people who they do creative things on the side, and then they're going to work in retail, or they're going to be a binman, or not to say those things are less than, but it's good. You need to kind of separate things in your mind, otherwise there will be struggles, and it will be your mental health that will pay. I wrote a very good quote, but it's on Twitter and it's on a phone that I'm using. But anyway, I feel like I've kind of spoken about this quite a bit on the topics that I wanted to. Yeah, I just want to see how now with his rebuttal with this song that he's done, I want to see how things go. I hope that she's ready and she girds her loins, and she should have been ready from the time she wrote this book, but I will say she does seem quite vulnerable. I just pray that she gets the attention that she needs. I didn't even talk about the pastor's son that she did a thing with, because to be honest, yeah, I'll do that in another video. I feel like there's so many things going on in this book to talk about in a linear way, which take forever. That's why this video is so long. So I'm going to just continue to take little bits out and draw on it. Very good book. Well written, concise, not doing too much, despite what people say. I'm glad that she has taken like authority and ownership of her story, if that's what was needed for her. I personally have gotten to a place, even though I'm younger than her, that I wouldn't need to do something like that. Or maybe other people as well wouldn't need to. You just have it inside of you that you're good. But if she needs to do that, then I'm happy for her. And I just pray that she gets the healing and the results that she needs and deserves.